Bernard and Shelley, can you hear us?
Yeah, no Bernard. Bernard, are you there?
No.
Where are we?
Oh, now Shelley, can you hear us?
I'm gonna go, no, this one. That's the big one.
We think it's a whole meeting by itself.
I really like the additional language in the city manager. Well, they voted on it, and now put it to council for
Bernard, can you hear us?
city manager. Not that they, see, they can say hereby revoke all of these. And, council has the power and authority subject to provision, limitations, circles, continues to establish the right to follow please. So they can like follow these.
Oh,
If I understand it.
I see.
Bernard?
No.
No, didn't work out. All right.
Hi.
Well, she,
Hi.
oh, this is very delayed.
Yeah, we're having a big storm down here in the south, and it's been messing up power and the internet and all over. So
All right.
I might get on my phone and do it via that. How's it sound now?
Good. If you turn your camera off, it usually saves some bandwidth, so your, the sound might be better.
Yeah, I did that in an earlier Zoom meeting today, and it didn't work so well, just for what it's
Okay.
worth.
All right, well, you see now, there might be a delay on us getting over to you though.
Yeah, you guys seem loud and clear.
Okay. All right. Chair, you want to call the meeting to order?
Is Shelley there?
Yeah. Shelley, can you hear us? Oh, you can hear now. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I can hear you now. That's smarter than a fifth grader, I guess.
Hard to do some days.
Let's begin this meeting. Call to order, roll call.
Committee member Kyleman,
Present.
Bump,
Here.
Nagaday,
Here.
Olvera,
Here.
Seeger.
Here,
Glad I wasn't holding my breath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Conditions or amendments to the agenda? Everybody's good with that? And, approve the minutes.
March
For
sixth.
March sixth, and March 20th.
Were they amended to include the additional comments that we got?
I don't know, I got the 20th, I didn't give you a copy of the 6th.
I did put this packet together, so. Yeah, I made the amendments, that. Tina was present.
I make a motion to approve the 20th and 6th.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Hello.
I
Aye.
All right.
gonna be an interesting one here.
He's got a little like
Mm-hmm.
comment for reading.
Appearance of interest of citizens. Ms. Pruitt?
I'm Tiffany Pruitt, citizen of Cascade Locks. I just want to state, that I know that this is the appropriate time to speak. Unfortunately, though, I don't know what to speak on because I don't know what you're gonna cover. So, to restrict people to speaking at this particular time slot without knowing where you guys are gonna go in this meeting is kind of, confining, and I don't know if you guys want to do something about it. The meeting can always be listened to online, so people can hear what, what happens during the meeting. I know that the minutes, the minutes are never precise at any meeting as it is, so I don't know, I mean, like, that's just something for you guys to discuss. I'd like to talk, but I don't know what to talk on, because I don't know what you guys are gonna cover, so.
And it's my understanding that I can acknowledge people in the audience, is that right? Is that what your email said? That
That's
at any point I can still acknowledge that they need to come up
exactly.
and state their name for us to be, is that still an option? We have it. Totally.
Yeah, at the previous meeting, there were at times 3 separate conversations going on, which makes minute taking very difficult, so.
Believe it, yeah.
So if
Okay,
we follow that format, you can call on someone, they can come up and introduce themselves and,
Correct.
okay.
yeah, outside of the public comment.
Yeah, this setting's a little different than the council.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you send that email to everybody that explained that?
No, it's just
Okay.
a conversation.
Okay, so just to keep everybody up to date. At our last meeting, there was a lot of crosstalk and conversations going on. And, made things difficult, for taking the minutes, and so we're not going to be having those interactive conversations, with the public anymore. But at any time, I can still acknowledge somebody and they can come up to the chair and state their name and speak. And that's all we've got for interested citizens. Review, discuss, and compare examples of charters. So we are on section 8, chapter 8, ordinances. I would like to start with anybody online.
Okay, Madam Chair. I'm gonna,
Yes.
yeah, you guys are still like very spotty so I'm gonna sign off on my my computer and then log on to my phone. And I think it'll be a little smoother. Yeah, but I've got the minutes and the agenda pulled up on my computer, and I'll look at that and follow along. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off right now and then sign back on the phone. So give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, it can be good sometimes and it can be bad. Just depends.
Bernard, can you hear us? Bernard, you there?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right, power on. Thank you.
So does anybody online, Bernard and Shelley, do you guys have anything to say to kick off chapter 8?
Well, if I could, can we go back and review the feedback from the city attorney, or when are we gonna do that on the agenda? Was that gonna be on the agenda tonight? Jordan?
And that's up to the committee.
Yeah, I'd rather start with that. Instead of getting further ahead and then jumping back.
Okay, so you wanna review the attorney's email to us?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Okay. So let's pull that up if we could. I've got that over here on my end.
First one was section 21.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna pull that ordinance and I forgot.
So is everyone seeing his response or her response? Not sure who's, or is he a man or a woman?
It's a man, Ruben.
Okay. Is everyone seeing his response then?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So look, I like his idea of making sure the city administrator ordinance captures much, if not all, of what's proposed in the model ordinance. I'm okay keeping ours nice and short as it is right now, as long as our city manager administrator ordinance reflects what the model says.
Is there a way for us to get a copy of that ordinance?
Yeah, yep, I can print it out.
Okay.
So we don't have to do that right now, but you know, I'm of the opinion that we do what he's proposing and make sure there's not any inconsistencies, and then we let that be our guide. But again, we could do that at the next meeting, but I don't know, how's that sound to the rest of you guys?
That's fine.
I agree.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I will, I got hard copies for the group in person tonight, and I'll also email to everyone as well.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, are we on number 2 then? Is that,
Yeah.
Number 2, section 23.
And I agree with what the attorney said, so.
I agree as well.
I mean, if you wanna keep it, that's fine, but like you said, there's no need to do every official.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
yeah, so I'm of the opinion if we don't need it, then let's just take it out.
And I think we should take it out. I mean, it really doesn't sort of say hardly anything. You know?
Other than
She
city
serves,
election
she serves
official.
as a city election official.
That seems pretty,
That's important. And shall maintain records of the city and record council meeting procedures, but that's about the only one I think should stay there if we wanna do that.
And that portion was duplicated somewhere else, right? They're keeping records, I can't remember where it was now, though.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it was duplicate or we read it there and
Section 16,
Election council shall.
Section 15, record of council
Records
proceedings.
council shall be kept as a result of all votes and vote of each member of the council by a name shall be recorded. But this says,
Who will be it?
who will be doing that, so.
And I guess records of the city, not just council.
Landscape.
So I would like to keep the first sentence, if we're gonna keep anything, and the rest can go. Farther concerned, because we all know that the city administrator can designate another city employee, and that's just, I'm sorry, common sense.
Yeah.
And why is, and if anywhere, why wouldn't that be under the city administrator? Why is it down there in city?
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm sure that in the ordinance of the city administrator, it probably says that, but we just got that, so I haven't read it. So what is everybody else's opinion on that?
I'm good with reading that first sentence. I think having somebody, the official. Official election official. Is good.
Who does deleting the last sentence?
Yeah, just the city administrator designate another city employee.
Sounds
That's
good to
just,
me.
just leave the first one that says. She shall serve as a city election official and maintain records of the city and a record of council proceedings.
Sounds perfect.
So.
That one's fine.
On
Is
this
Bernard
one,
okay with that and Shelley okay with that?
That sounds fine. Yeah, that sounds fine.
Shelley. Let's see. Section 25.
I vote. That's,
Leave it out since it is covered by state statute unless you wanted a different procedure.
I think that's kind of the
I
general.
suggest a dual add-on continued.
I know.
I'm assuming that was a joke on that one. But knowing Ruben, yes, that is.
But he says leave it out, that's his recommendation. Since it's already covered by statute.
Okay, but. I have a but.
Let's hear
Will council follow the statute or will they make it up themselves? If it's not in here.
We can just leave it in, if there's any.
What's that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to see everything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bug you.
It's just our presidency. For chair.
Thank you, that's great on my eyes too, thank
It
you.
doesn't hurt anything to leave it in, right?
No, it doesn't,
No, and that's,
And then that makes it very clear.
and I think it should stay in,
yeah,
Sure.
because it's clear and,
It's a
you
good
know, if they
reminder.
have any questions, then they need to go to statute. Right?
It reflects the statutes. Good reminder, they're there.
Bernard or Shelley?
Yeah, I say leave it. I mean, sorry, kind of just reading.
I'm
through.
okay leaving it too, as long as it doesn't conflict with the statute. Am I hearing it that it doesn't, correct?
Correct.
That's what they're
Okay,
saying,
that's
yes.
fine.
Okay.
Ms. Pruitt?
To be correct, citizen of Cascade Law. So can we just put the ORS? Can we just note the ORS?
Oh, you want to reference the ORS, that's the state statute?
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
That way they know
then
that.
nobody has to go try and figure it out.
Right, if we-
Mhm.
so if we start it per ORS
Yes,
in the event of a title.
Hopefully somebody wrote that down at the last meeting.
It's here in the email.
yeah, he's got it.
254, like 575, that's what I wrote down. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I put down. Okay, council review. The committee recommended changing the charter before it goes to vote. I assume that's not true. Committee makes recommendations to council and the council ultimately wants to make changes. prior to going to a vote, then they can do so. So on that, may I talk? I'm sorry, I just thought I would do it, jeez. I'm sorry. So on that note, just a question. So everything that we're doing, if they don't want it changed, they can just undo all of it.
Yes.
Is that my understanding?
Yep, he said, I talked to him, he said, this committee isn't even necessary, they could go and change it themselves and put it to a vote. This is really just kind of more PR, we're putting it out there to the community to get there, but they don't even have to do this committee.
And so that's what this email is referring to. Can you explain to me what that last paragraph means? I'm not totally following. Are we one of those things that is so basic and understood that it is not usually up for debate. It says, if you're asking about the ability to send things to a vote of the people, that is allowed under the state election statutes. That wasn't my question, and I don't
Yeah,
understand how
correct.
that pertains to.
Yeah, I don't know where he got that thought, and I said I talked to him. And to the second point about, struggles, power struggle, and so it was that, there's just, the committee had a question about it, so.
Right,
Yeah.
and so is this an answer to the question that we asked, or is this an answer to a question that he thought we asked? Cause this isn't an answer to my question. Does that make sense? Sorry.
Oh, I think so, yeah. Yeah, both, maybe, definitely the first one, that's not the actual question you asked.
Right,
Yeah, but an actual documentation saying that it's the council, not the committee, is that correct?
yeah.
Which I'm
because-
following you.
Yeah, because what I understood, the only thing that I could find about it, it's here somewhere, just that, working on it. It's not it either. Basically saying so many things safe in so many different spots. I don't know where it is. One thing. I sent it in that email to you, that's what I did. The legislative assembly shall not enact, amend, or repeal any charter or act of the corporation for any municipality, city, or town. So that's the only thing I could find on it.
Yeah, and that's talking about the state. Can't go in and change the city's charter.
So city council isn't a legislative,
That one's talking specifically about the state legislature.
okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me that we would have a committee to make recommendations when it's completely not necessary, and I also don't understand how a governing body can decide their own rules that they're going to work by, and so it just, I don't understand.
Every governing body does that, the state does it, the feds do it. I mean, planning commission is a little more to that one, but it's just a recommendation. Budget committees, just a recommendation. Tourism's just a recommendation. It all falls on council. They're all advisory committees. They are the governing body and the final say.
The other thing to keep in mind is that while council can make changes to what we're proposing, now they are, further, they're potentially risking the proposed charter not passing to the vote. The only people who control the outcome of this at the end of the day
is the voters. We're proposing changes to it, and the voters can accept it or reject it. And the council has the exact same, liberties. They have the liberty to make changes that are different from ours, but at the end of the day, the voters can accept it or reject it. Generally, council likes to get regular citizens together to look at these issues, so it has a more kind of on the ground perspective that they might not, be in tune with. And they do that again for all these different types of services. Again, tourism, planning, land use. It's all trying to get, a more grounded perspective on city policy. That's why they do it.
To that point,
Hope that
we had
helps.
dis- sorry, Bernard, did I interrupt you?
No, go ahead.
To that point, we had discussed when we finish and we get a printed copy of our recommendation, having a public meeting on it. So anyone who was interested could read our actual recommendations before they even go to the council. Isn't that correct?
Having a town hall.
Yeah, having a town hall.
Yes, that way,
So and then after that, if it goes to the council and there are changes made, people will have seen the differences, is what I'm saying. So there's transparency there.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
the
was-
final recommendation will be put into a packet for council, so I mean, it'll be in public record.
And will include the results from comments from the town hall meeting.
Yeah,
we would take, you would have.
Bernard?
I wasn't sure when the timing was of the town hall. Just to review, I'm very supportive of that. I hope we do that, but I wasn't sure if that was going to be after council reviewed our product or before. Is that your understanding, Jordan, that we would do the town hall before council reviews our product?
yeah, it'd kind of be this committee's final
Proposal.
public comment period.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
So maybe at the end of this meeting, we will, before we finish this meeting, we'll kind of try to narrow down.
Exactly how far we
Right.
get through.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
We'll see.
how much time it's gonna take the final version.
Yeah.
That we need to review to make sure it's good, so I don't know what that time. So, but yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not looking in the right spot here. I don't see when it is that we have to have this to council, or we're supposed to have it to council, or however that goes.
A kind of arbitrary deadline of May 31st was set
Nice.
to give, council and staff enough time to review it. Council has to approve it, vote on it in an ordinance, and it has to be prepared to go on the ballot by August 16th. I think there's a couple weeks of wiggle room in there, but not much.
I mean, I think as fast as we're getting through this, we should be all right.
Yeah, what was that?
Sorry, I'm super plugged up. It wasn't important, I promise.
Okay.
Based on that timeframe of May 31st, I think we have time.
Yeah.
Like the middle of May to have a town hall, I mean, just out of blue, middle of May to have a town hall meeting.
Okay.
If we can get all of this done and get it back to us to review.
Yeah.
And at least give the citizens 2 weeks notice or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're getting close.
Yeah, we're almost
Yeah.
there.
About there,
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
All right,
We have
so
a
let's,
pretty lengthy discussion ahead.
although this one might be pretty lengthy, the next one.
all right, let's,
We might want to just wait for the next meeting to do that one, that's gonna be the hard one.
I don't know,
we'll
see.
see, we'll see. Okay, so back to that email from, with the
Mhm.
answers from the attorney, number 5. Voting process. So we can either vote on one specific area or send the whole thing,
Yeah, if there's a lot of changes, it would be better to just
new charter.
adopt the whole new
Yeah,
charter.
we have a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be silly with all of the small
Mhm.
movements that we made to be like, do you like this? Yes or no? Because what if they wanna send this there, and this
Yeah.
there, and then.
Yeah, then we'd have a very hodgepodge charter.
Exactly.
Made it worse than how it
Defeat the- yeah.
started. Do we get to, so if that's the case, I mean, can we? It doesn't have to necessarily be one way or the other, right? We can be like, here's, especially after the town hall, if there's some people that have some strong feelings about things. You know, as far as all of the little moving things, like chapter 6, all the stuff we moved to chapter 6. You know, make that a single vote option, like either you accept this or you don't, but then you can still cut it into pieces and say, okay, here's this subject that people felt strongly about, and then.
Yeah, so
So
it's not, if we vote this and this doesn't pass, or this passes, this doesn't, it screws up the whole charter,
Yeah,
so
right.
they're kind of grouped together.
Yeah.
I can ask the attorney on that.
And ultimately, isn't that gonna be up to the council to decide how they wanna present it for vote?
Yes, but this committee would also make that recommendation, so yeah.
Bernard or Shelley, anything about number 5?
Nope, sounds good to me.
Wonderful.
And I apologize, we discussed before the meeting started, I missed one of the questions about holding 2 elected office, so I will follow up on that.
Right.
Yeah,
So. And I will email out that response as soon as I get it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then now we're on to chapter 8, right?
yeah,
And there is no ordinance section in the model chart, is that correct?
there's one abandoned, but I
But
did
not
not
others.
verify anything in that model, unless you guys can see
There's
it.
no section on ordinances and so.
And just so we can get something going, everything up to, number 4, I don't have any problems with, that is a
I do have,
normal thing, but unless somebody else does.
yeah, so section 32(1). At the end of that sentence, we have put and. I have a
Oh.
circle, and I don't see that and anywhere else, and I'm wondering if it makes it say something different.
Two different ones before. Okay, so. You have. It's not an and, it's an or, is it
Right,
not?
I
It
think
should be
so.
an or, at least I
Because-
read it as an or.
Right,
You
Yeah.
either read it at two different meetings. Or you can read it at one meeting if you have a unanimous vote.
Yeah.
right.
So it's an or, not an and.
Yeah, I read it as here's option 1, and here's option 2, and here's option 3.
Okay,
Right,
Yeah, it really should, that's the way I interpret it. Or at least I had interpreted it.
well, that's the way it should be, yes. So that would be changed, or this.
I'm trying to find, I know. Hood River City Charter, which we mirror a lot of.
Do they have this in there?
So what the Hood River City Charter says, 32(1), an ordinance shall be fully and distinctly read in open council meetings on 2 different days before being adopted by the council, except,
Oh, that's nice.
Except,
and then they go into A, so I think they started with number 2, our number 2 is their number 1, maybe? Side by side, because then they go into, A reading of the ordinance may be by title only if, lowercase a, no member of the council present at the meeting requests that the ordinance be read in full, and B, at least 1 week before the reading. More closely mirrored than that. I don't like the and. is my point.
So it could be or, it could be except,
To me, or sounds,
best, clear.
I think or makes sense, but I kind of asked the attorney to like, are we gonna get, are we creating some legal challenge if we put or?
When I found this, I looked through several other charters to see if anybody had that wording. And I couldn't find anything that had an and in that spot.
no, because an and means you have to do both,
Yeah.
Right.
and we don't.
Yeah. Shouldn't be and, but like I
So,
said,
and
if there,
it's not.
if there's an or, what kind of, is that the proper language without avoiding any kind of legal challenge?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. The other one doesn't like legal challenge.
We'll find out. I mean, cause like you said, you can make a list of things, but you would have to put and after everyone, right?
Yeah.
This and this and this, but since it's just a standalone guy, I think it,
or it's more,
Yeah, there's only two ways it can be adopted. The third thing that's under section 32 is just describes what a reading of the ordinance.
Yeah, the way this whole section is formatted is just odd.
it is odd.
so,
So one, ordinance shall be full and distinctly read in an open council meeting, 2 different meetings, but doesn't actually say anything about voting on it. And then number 2 says it can be in a single meeting
And unanimous vote.
in a unanimous vote. So, and you could also interpret one as long as you read it twice in full, you don't even need to vote on it.
Before being adopted by council, being adopted by council means a vote.
So that implies a vote.
Yeah,
That, to me, that implies a
I
vote,
agree.
you know, you can change that. The vote, but
and it can be adopted in a single meeting, but only by unanimous vote.
right,
Whereas the previous one
it
is
has
two
to be
meetings,
2 different meetings.
and it only has to be majority.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which we just did at the last
Yeah.
council meeting. We had one ordinance up and it failed it failed 6-1 with 6 for it and 1 against it. So now it needs to go to the next council
Next
meeting.
council meeting.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure how to reformat though.
I don't,
I know.
well, either. In looking at the LOC model. They've kind of streamlined it, but our other option is by. Changing the numbering system on our existing one,
Yeah,
putting some lowercase a's and b's in there.
yeah, the model charter essentially says the same thing, but a little more streamlined.
where is it in the model charter?
Page 5, it starts on page 5.
Section 9, legislative authority.
oh, that's why I did see it. Yeah, ordinance.
Yeah, they clear up that,
Yeah,
Mhm.
that whole and thing with except is authorized by subsection B.
mm-hmm,
I mean, that's nice and clean. Maybe we just use that.
use that entire ordinance.
I like
Well,
it.
at least that sentence,
So section 4.2 in the model charter would replace section really 32 in our charter.
okay, but they're not as thorough. They're saying, you can do a unanimous, but, let's see. Provide the proposal is available in writing to the public at least 1 week they don't require any reading of it. See the difference there? Oh, no, there it is. Any substitute must be read aloud. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. And the writing on it, see that it's there.
I don't know. I feel like this is pretty good.
This isn't quite the same.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
I mean, I
got,
like the way this says, but I agree it's a little bit difficult to understand, so do we just need to reorganize this section, or renumber it?
Or do we take our section 32(1) and replace it with the model 4.2A? So just their A with our one,
Section.
and then ours would be subsection 2. No, just read that again, read it.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Well, ours doesn't imply, so the model charter implies 2 votes. Ours does not. If I'm reading that correct.
Oh. You're correct.
do you have, Mosher's charter?
I don't think I pulled that one, but I can probably Google
So
that.
looking at their layout, just the way they have organized it, I think is something. If we're going to keep the existing
I
as
like
it
this
is.
existing, but.
Right, but the way it's organized,
Okay.
and formatted, and Mosher's looks
Better,
better,
yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Who's looking it up?
Miss Pruitt.
So. City of Cascade logs. So. Except as authorized by section on the model charter, sorry.
Section B.
Section B. Adoption of the ordinance requires approval by a majority of the council at 2 meetings, but B says you can adopt it at a single meeting by unanimous approval. I mean, that,
Wait, but it says unanimous approval of at least a quorum.
Right.
We have unanimous approval
yeah,
of the whole
right.
council.
so just,
That's what I don't like in the model.
so just take out the quorum, so just take out,
I prefer that,
Ours.
just take out.
I prefer ours, that it's a unanimous vote of the entire council.
I also prefer that it doesn't have to be approved at 2 meetings, which is what Jordan's right.
Well, it does have, it does have to
If
be,
it's read by title only, it has to be approved at 2 meetings.
and if you don't have a
And if you don't have a unanimous vote.
No, that's for part 2, but in section 32(1), all we have to do is read it at 2 open council meetings.
So here's Mosher's.
And-
You've got Mosher's?
No, that's not it.
And under
Yeah,
the
right.
model, it says it has to be approved by a majority at 2 meetings, not simply read at 2
Yeah.
meetings. And
Ours says that too.
no, ours just says it has to be read.
It's read, but it doesn't have to be voted at each meeting.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
so if I can offer, like at the last meeting, the way Jordan did it was very much differently than we've done it in the past. We would usually read it through and see if we got a unanimous vote. And then you would get the vote, and then you would have the second reading at that same meeting and have the vote again. And have the second vote, not have two readings and then have one vote. So you would read the ordinance and have the council vote on it, and if they unanimously voted on it, then you would read the ordinance again and have them vote on it the second time, not read it, and then have them vote on it. So it was a little different. It was a little awkward.
To vote on it twice in the same meeting?
No, you don't. You
No,
read it two different meetings.
Unless you get unanimous vote.
If it's a unanimous
Unanimous
vote.
vote, yes.
If it's a unanimous vote, then you read it, you get your unanimous vote, sorry, it's a mouthful. And then, since you got your unanimous vote, you can have your second reading at the same
Yeah.
meeting. Whereas if it's not a unanimous vote, then it's done, you don't get your second reading.
Okay.
And then it has to be brought to the next
Right.
council.
That's what 2A says.
Yeah.
So ordinance may be adopted as a single meeting, vote of the entire council if 2 readings by title only
Or in full.
or in full shall occur, so. Oh, wait a minute.
So,
And if there's a substantial
And then
change.
the change that is substantial, you would read that in full.
Yes.
Right, so that way you're not reading a 5-page ordinance when you're changing 3 sentences out of it.
Yeah.
You're just reading those 3 sentences.
and in that case where an ordinance could be adopted in a single meeting, I agree with, Mary Ann. I want the entire council there, not just a
I
point.
just don't want to quarrel.
Right.
Yeah. I think that it's important that if you're gonna do it all in one meeting, that the entire council be present at that meeting,
Yes.
which is what we already have.
So where have we gotten here
So
now?
look at,
Okay,
will
so-
you, again, thank you, George, will you pull up, Mosers, so we can see it real quick? A little bit further down, yeah, right there.
Thanks, Bravo, blind people.
And so if you go down to 3. Then,
Right here.
yeah, they've chopped it up into those sections, that makes a lot more sense.
No council present.
That's about the reading of it again, right?
At least 4 days before we, that's our number 3.
Yeah. Well, it's a little.
Oh, it is the
Yeah,
same.
that's our number
I think you were
3.
looking at 1 and 2,
Yeah, no, I'm
the language in 1 and 2.
losing it. So their number 1 says, except as subsection 2 of this section allows adoption at a single meeting, and subsection 3 of this section allows reading by title only, an ordinance shall be fully and distinctly read in open council meeting on 2 different days before being adopted by the council.
I like that.
So they.
Except as
Except
number 3.
2 and 3.
Oh, except. Oh, subsection 2
I like
and subsection 3. Okay, I get that
So
now.
we've broken it apart, so
Yeah.
now it's not.
Two and 3.
I like that. I like the wording on that one. I think it makes it really clear. Thank you, by the way, for doing the work and looking for these. I also like the wording on it.
Resolution should be first in full and then by title only.
Don't you like that? I like
Well-
that a lot.
That's a big ordinance sometimes to read. I mean, really.
Oh,
I
true.
mean, the ordinance that we just put through, that's like 3-4 pages.
Oh, that's a lot to read.
If it was just a 1-page ordinance, I would agree with that, but
And that was
4
only
pages.
part of the ordinance.
it was only part of the ordinance, right?
That was only part of the.
No, it's the whole ordinance. The whole ordinance is only 3 pages. The
Part of the.
garbage one I had to read out loud. That was fun.
I would have to provide the ordinance is read in full. I prefer title only, and then you read the section that was changed.
Yeah.
That's what I would prefer they do.
Yeah,
Cause the other part of the ordinance is the same, you don't need to read that.
exactly.
But I do think you need to read the one that changed.
Yeah.
Council member can decide to do otherwise.
No council member present at the reading. Okay, a reading of an ordinance may be by title only if no council member presents the reading request.
Be read in full.
Be read in
In other
full.
words, a council member can request that it be read.
Yeah,
Well, that's what ours says too, isn't it?
Yeah. They only require 4 days of notice. We require a whole week.
Mm-hmm.
I like the 1 week.
So.
Okay, I've got something to add as well.
Yes, please, Bernard.
Yeah, so I think it seems like you guys are dancing around it, but if we're gonna follow the process where they do this in 2 meetings, it right now it says an ordinance shall be fully and distinctly read in open council meeting on 2 different meetings before being adopted, okay? Now, number 3 says a reading of an ordinance may be by title only. I assume that also applies to section 1. Is that everyone else's assumption?
Yes.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
Exactly what you did.
okay, but what I would like to add to section 3 is this piece that says any section of the proposed ordinance containing substantive language shall be read in full prior to consideration. Is that what you guys were saying? Because that's what I agree with if you what you're saying. Because right now, it doesn't say that in section 3. If you're applying that to section 1.
I like that verbiage.
Oh, I see.
So that, you know, if anybody has something to say about, you know, only reading part of an ordinance, like I said, if you're gonna have a 5-page ordinance,
Right.
you know, you're not.
You don't need to read it, you just need to read the one,
That changes.
the substantial change, substantial change.
The way, if I'm following along, it could go over 2 meetings. The only thing actually read is the title.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never actually publicly read what's being changed. Right?
Unless someone requests it.
If we don't put it in this charter, that is very possible. I'd like us to put it in the charter.
2B says it's in there.
Yeah.
Any section of the proposed ordinance containing substantive change shall be read in full prior to consideration.
But
Here, that's if your goal is to get it passed in 1 vote.
One vote.
If you're trying to
exactly
hack
one
something
meeting.
spread over 2 votes. Not that anybody did that, but.
Oh,
You tricky, aren't you?
okay, so can we just sort of like talk about what we're actually proposing? To sort of outline what the changes that we're proposing.
So what does ours currently say in the simplest form? It says either 1, fully and distinctly read at 2 meetings. Or a single meeting by unanimous vote if 2 readings by title only or in full and substantive changes. Or a reading of the ordinance may be by title only if no one requests it
And it's been made available.
and it's been made available
To read.
a week ahead of time.
I see where Jordan hit is they don't have to read the section they changed at all.
Unless I want to get passed in a single meeting.
Right. So if you do 2 meetings, so in the next meeting, you can read by title only and it's passed and nobody's heard what major changes are, is that right?
Correct. I'm assuming council will discuss it, but again, it could fly right through.
It can fly right through, because it does not state.
Right.
It does not state in section 1 that, this section of proposed ordinance containing substantial change shall be read.
No, it requires that the ordinance be fully and distinctly read in 2 different meetings. So
Good
it,
God.
yeah. I'm assuming that doesn't always happen.
So does Mosers
No, because they.
circumvent that?
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially the same thing. I'm reading this correctly.
So is our goal,
That's interesting. A and B are in order, so the whole providing copies aren't even necessary. Ours is an and. The 3A and 3B for Mosher is 4.
Or they
Ours is and.
prefer the and on B,
Yeah.
on 3.
Yeah, great.
yeah, I agree. So what we're, to be legal, what we want to be able to do is say that an ordinance is in number 1, allow for a reading by title only of the ordinance. And any section that's been changed prior, has to be read in full. But like, you don't want, in those 2 meetings, where you don't say how formed, or you don't have the entire, body, you don't wanna have to read the ordinance in full twice.
Right, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alright, this would be so contentious to be predicting him. So the abandoned one has adoption by council, every ordinance of the council shall be read fully and distinctly in open council meeting on 2 different days, except to that of an ordinance. That an ordinance may be enacted in a single meeting of the council by unanimous vote of all councilors upon being read first in full and then by title only. So I mean, that's another.
It's still that.
An option.
I think Mary Ann makes a good point, when we have a 4-page ordinance, to read it in full even once takes a considerable amount.
Understood, but you have to kind of plan that into your council meeting, and I strongly recommend that it not be the full council, because, I mean, there might be reasons why you can't get a full council at a meeting, at a meeting at a particular time, so we.
That's if you want to do it all in one day.
You have to have the whole council.
So then that would automatically revert to a two
meetings.
council meeting.
Right.
I think this last meeting, the first one we had all 7 in couple meetings now.
Right, you just had one that voted against it, so it kicked in the second meeting.
But they were present.
Okay, let me what if this, Jordan. So let's say we need an emergency ordinance for something. I don't know what might come up, but we can all imagine something. And let's say, 2 of our council members are out of town. So by the way our charter is written now, you can't enact that in one meeting. you can make it effective immediately if it's emergency, but you can't enact it. So, am I correct in understanding you could have a meeting and then literally like a couple hours later have another meeting and then enact this thing? If it's an emergency?
That's 2 different days.
Sorry.
Well, it has to, yeah, 2 separate meetings, which, I mean, you only have to give 24-hour notice. So I guess you could hold a meeting at 9 in the morning and a meeting at 1 in the afternoon.
And,
On ours currently, yeah, 2 different meetings, but in the other ones, it always says on 2 different days.
Hood River City Charter has an emergency ordinance section.
Yeah, and we have one somewhere, I'm trying to.
I mean, cities face crises occasionally. And, that's when you need an ordinance. I don't know, you got riots in the streets. I don't know, you can think of something where we would need an ordinance that got approved immediately. And right now, unless you have your full council, you can't do it in a meeting. And that seems like, I don't know, I'm not sure if that's wise. I feel like we need to have some way to get an emergency ordinance adopted in short order.
So the model charter has, section, section 4.3, effective date of ordinances. Ordinances normally take effect 30 days after adoption or a later date, provided an ordinance may take effect as soon as adopted or other date less than 30 days after adoption if it contains an emergency clause. That's not quite enough.
Council be president.
Yeah, I mean, there's the declaration of emergency, which the mayor can do. Assuming the approval is met from the council as soon as possible. So if this is an ordinance though, this is your city code, not in the charter. Circumstances prohibit timely action, council, the mayor may declare a state of emergency provided the approval of the majority of the council sought obtained at the first opportunity. If circumstances prohibit timely action, the council or mayor, the city administrator may declare a state of emergency provided approval from council side.
So Hood River City Charter, ordinance is necessary for the immediate preservation of the health, safety, and welfare of the city may become effective immediately if the ordinance states the reason and if the ordinance is approved by the affirmative vote of, they say, 5 members of the council.
I think it's be a 9-person council?
No, I don't think they're 9.
No, interesting. Okay.
I would be.
Okay, so do we want to continue looking at ordinances and then we'll put a pin in emergency ordinances?
Yeah,
You can put.
I don't mind putting an emergency
or
ordinance section in there,
I think it's a good provision to have.
right? Bernard, what do you have to say?
Okay, you're saying you do not like the idea of an emergency ordinance provision?
I'm in favor of an emergency ordinance provision.
Okay, I feel I feel the same way.
Shelley? Four of us agree. Sorry, Shelley, we can't hear you. So we got the 4 of us. So
Yeah, I
let's
agree with that.
put an emergency ordinance section in.
Yep, I got a placeholder in there.
Perfect.
Same one from the model, is that what you're thinking?
That she just read.
That came from the Hood River City
Okay.
Charter.
Sounded great.
I don't see any specific. And the charter only says effective date of ordinance. That if there's an emergency clause in there, but I like the Hood River City charter.
Well, I like it too.
Okay,
So we're proposing to put that in.
yeah, add that to, where'd that go? Just under, so they have it, in the next section after methods of adoption.
Okay,
They've added a section there.
so that would be our number 4 then?
No, so that would be our section 33.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it'd be.
Alright, so then back to methods of adoption.
Can't we add in the section 1, a section and put any section of proposed ordinance containing substantial change shall be read? Cause then, doesn't that mean that if it doesn't get a full vote, at least you have to read that section at that time? Does that make sense? I'm not explaining very well.
I get what you're trying to say, yeah.
You're trying to say that
I'm trying, yeah,
for any ordinance where you're thinking it's, you're not gonna get a full vote, it can be read by title only.
right.
But that B that we have under 2, any section has to be read in full.
I want any section that is being changed needs to be read so people understand
Right.
what that ordinance says. I don't want the whole one read, but
So we need to add a B
so wouldn't you,
to number 1.
it would be an A, because there's only one.
Yeah, it would be an A.
And then after that, then that or would be on there, so you
Mhm.
have. You understand what I'm trying to say? Cause I don't.
So it would be an ordinance shall be read by title only or in full.
Right. I think it goes back to, was it Mosher's where it says except subsection B, we're doing that same language subsection 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
they actually say, except as subsection 2
Yeah.
of this section allows adoption at a single meeting, and subsection 3 of this section allows reading by title only, an ordinance shall be fully and distinctly read in open council meeting on 2 different days before being adopted by the council. I'm gonna jump back to the emergency ordinance really fast, looking at Home Rule County Charter for Hood River County. Their emergency ordinance says, to meet a public emergency affecting life, health, or property, the board may adopt an emergency ordinance provided that the ordinance does not levy taxes or authorize the borrowing of money. And the ordinance, including any amendments made after its adoption, shall be automatically repealed on the 181st day following the date of its adoption.
And that was Mosher's.
That is the Hood River County.
county one, let's see.
That was that, I pulled that directly from Mosher's. If I can zoom in here.
Nice.
Shall be and distinctly read, open council. Meeting. 2 different meetings before being adopted by council. So subsection.
I don't think it addresses
Doesn't address,
the concern that you're talking about.
I don't think it addresses the
Reading.
reading of the section that is being changed
Yeah,
in number 1.
They also don't put or at the end of that.
I was gonna say, that was, yeah,
I
we can
think
take that out.
what we're asking is that if you're gonna do it over 2 meetings, that you can read it in title only as long as the other, as long as it's been posted, and no one asks that it be read in full. But any changes have to be read in full.
And number one does not indicate that.
Right, and you want that added to number one.
Yeah, well, I think the citizens would wanna know
Yeah.
what you're changing in that ordinance.
So we could, if I'm following correctly, we could take 2B and just add it
To number one.
as,
Number one. To make a 1A.
Yeah.
So that if it's number one, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna have 2 meetings. And you're gonna read the changed section of that ordinance.
Right,
well,
Also-
one assumes you're reading the full thing.
right.
And I think what we're trying to get away from is requiring council to
Read the
read
full
the
thing.
full 4-page
Well, it's never
ordinance.
gonna happen, so that's why 2 and 3 are here. And
Well,
so
it's never gonna happen.
It's gonna be read.
it's never gonna be read fully twice in a council meeting. I mean, I could be wrong.
No, only have to be read once in a council meeting fully. So you wanna read a 4-page ordinance is the point. That's,
So if one member says, I wanna hear the ordinance in full, you have to read it in full.
Could happen, yes. Given, this council.
Any council.
Yeah.
So let's say-
So if we take 2B and essentially add it to maybe make it B1 here. So for it to be read in title only. No council member have to object to it.
right,
I guess it would be so it'd be 3B, we'd have a 2B and a 3B. Have to be read, any proposed ordinance containing substantive change would be read in full prior.
it requires a change in number one, because number one says it shall be read.
But it's
And
saying
ordinance shall be
except
fully and distinctly read in open council meeting on 2 different meetings.
unless you choose option 2 or option 3.
I think by taking 2B and adding it to 3, it solves our problem. You're pointing out that whether it's 1 meeting or 2 meetings, it needs to be read, substantive change should be read in full.
So our options are 1, read the whole thing. Option 2 would be, the part containing substantive changes, and option 3 would be containing substantive.
But that's by title only.
Yeah.
So say you read, say they take exception 1. Or they say, section 1, and they're gonna read it by full title. If you don't have that up there, how is that gonna tell them?
Section
To
1
read
is only fully. That's
The
our
whole
only
ordinance,
option.
not just title.
Is only fully, that's, I think, what we're trying to get away from, is
So
that,
then they have the option to either choose number 2 or number 3. If they don't wanna read the whole thing in full, then they can choose option number 2 or option number 3.
right, but they may not have a choice. If the entire council isn't present, they don't have any choice but to go into, to use number 1.
That doesn't say anything about.
It's under
Entire.
number 2, you have to have the
Entire.
entire council make the vote. So if the entire council isn't present,
Unanimous vote of the entire council. Yes, Ms. Brooke.
Okay, sorry, having been on council, this is killing me. So, to be fair again, I think you're getting hung up on entire. I don't think that means, okay, you're assuming that the entire means all 7 have to be there as opposed to who's really at the meeting. I mean, it could just be 6, it could just be 5
Entire available council.
present,
Entire.
present. Count.
A unanimous vote of the entire council. When I read that, you can determine it 2 ways, but
Yeah.
when I read it, entire council, it's the whole council.
Yeah.
That's,
Available council, of the available council, of the.
That just throws another,
Yeah.
that just throws another brick in front of
so are you saying the entire council that's here?
that's present.
That's present.
That's my interpretation of it. I've never ever thought that we ever had to vote on an ordinance
Oh,
with having all 7 people present.
Only if you wanna do it in a single meeting according to our.
Motion,
No, that was whoever was available at the council meeting, unanimous, who was at the council, that was always my interpretation. Bernard, is that, I mean, am I,
Moser says present, council members present.
mhm.
yeah, so, and then on that, or should it be accept instead of or?
We have accept in the beginning,
Yeah,
and so it's, so now if we take out and or, we have option 1, option 2, or option 3.
Okay.
we're on it there.
Okay, I'm
Bernard?
there, yeah, so look, I think I'm not sure, I can't see all the screens, but but I think my interpretation of unanimous vote of the entire council, if we don't say entire present, available or present, then I'm interpreting that means 7 council members. But I'll be honest with you, Tiffany, I feel like if we did that, we might have fudged that. I think whoever was present, it had to be unanimous present, even though it's not as clear as it should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so interpretation, it's always, so if we don't put the interpretation into the document, then will be up to each council's interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Go ahead.
Moser says, except as subsection, so this is section 2, except as subsection 3 of this section allows reading by title only, the council may adopt an ordinance at a single meeting by the express unanimous votes of all council members present.
Yeah,
Okay, I like that.
which is what you put in there, Jordan, right?
Yeah,
Kind of put present,
You can fix it,
yeah,
take out entire,
Yeah, just entire council present,
yeah, entire council present,
or present council.
yeah, can we take out entire,
and you put
and
present,
just put present? So they also lay out, for their number 2, it says except as subsection 3 of this section allows by reading by title only. So option 1 says except as subsection 2 and 3,
mhm,
and then option 2 says except as subsection 3 by title only. That's so the sections don't contradict each other, is that right?
mhm.
Okay, I found one other thing that maybe needs to be discussed.
Let's hear
So when you're trying to adopt in a single meeting, it's got this clause, any section of a proposed ordinance containing substantive change. Well, it's possible it's a brand new ordinance. It's not an ordinance that changed another ordinance. It can be a completely new ordinance with new language dictating, requirements for the city. In that case, it's not about a change. It's almost like substantive in nature, any section of proposed containing language that is substantive in nature shall be read in full prior to the consideration. So in that way, if there's an ordinance, again, covering a completely new topic, you might have some administrative stuff that's not that substantive, but the substantive stuff does get covered, allowed. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
No, totally.
And so you could say containing substantive additions or changes, or you
And
just
again, it
wanna,
might not be an addition or a change. It might be a brand new ordinance covering a completely new subject. And you only want them to read the substantive parts of that. Or the whole thing.
I don't think I've seen, I mean, this verbiage is basically what every other charter has, and I don't recall seeing anything about new ordinances.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to, I'd maybe like to see what the attorney says about that. I mean, like, for example, it wasn't too long ago that marijuana wasn't illegal in Oregon, right? And then it became legal, and I think we had to pass in. Did we ever pass it? Cities that wanted to like tax it or whatever, they had to pass an ordinance on that. You're not changing any previous ordinance. This is brand new language on how we govern, marijuana sales within the city of our jurisdiction. See what I'm saying? New stuff emerges, and it requires a brand new ordinance. So how do you adopt an ordinance like that unless you read it in full or by title with substantive sections? I think council should have that option.
Why don't you just stay?
Okay. Okay, Tiffany Pruitt again. So, but Bernard, if you're making substantive changes, then that would automatically need to be read. If it's a new ordinance, everybody would generally want to read what a new ordinance has to say, but if you're making a substantive change to an ordinance that already exists, then that should be read. Is that what you're saying? Or are you
No,
saying?
I agree. Yes, if you're changing an ordinance, then yes, any substantive change should be read in the story. You can't do that. You can't make that change without reading that change. But what if you're adopting a new ordinance that doesn't, it's not in our portfolio? Can we adopt a new ordinance that's not requiring changes per se, by title only? Can we do that? Is the answer, the answer might be no, but I don't know. Right now, it doesn't feel like it's addressed.
I would argue that a new ordinance in and of itself represents substantive change, period. If you're gonna make a new ordinance that bans, the establishment of, say, a dispensary, that's new on our books. So that is a substantive change from how we've been operating up till now. I think any ordinance represents a change.
And so the fact that it's not in the model, it's not in any of the other 5 charters that I have sitting here. I wonder if it kind of reverts back to, it's one of, quoting Ruben here, one of those things that is so basic and understood that is not usually up for debate.
Right.
So there is something written somewhere about new ordinances being read in substance or in entirety. And that's not really, it doesn't really follow the city charter. It's a state thing, a state requirement, and we just don't talk about it because it doesn't come up. Yes.
Because you have a city councilor who can demand, it only takes one person to require that it be read.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much of it. It just, is that my understanding, is that it just takes one person?
One number.
One number to request that it be read in full, and if 7 people are zombified and have no interest, I don't know,
Reading it out.
somebody's going to, if it's substantive that they want the citizens to know and have it read into the record, then there'll be at least one person that'll want it done.
Yeah.
I would think.
And I will point out that it is posted, it's available for people to look at prior to the meeting where it's voted on as well.
As well as public comment.
So I'm just gonna say, I don't mind skipping verbiage for new ordinances.
I agree.
Marianne?
As long as you said the state identifies that.
I haven't seen it, but since it's not in any ordinance nor the model charter from the
It's just a-
LLC.
Common thing that,
Yeah,
gee, you should read the whole order,
Yeah.
right?
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
Because
It's
we
brand
don't,
new.
it's brand new.
yeah.
I agree with that.
Okay, Shelley? I haven't heard from her in a while, did she say anything?
And I would hope that children would do that too. I don't know, but.
Roll with the dice.
Bernard, what's your
Well, I
final
mean,
thought? Is it something
yeah,
that you really
look.
need to talk to the attorney about, or?
I, I'm sympathetic to Tiffany's comment regarding, you know, the prerogative of one member to say, no, we need to read this in full, to kind of as our sideboards for this process. I mean, I guess I can live with that.
Okay.
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 And then, so I do wanna, like I said, revisit this emergency ordinance, wording.
I like what
For some reason, at some point in time, somebody realized that, emergency ordinances shouldn't levy taxes or authorize the borrowing of money.
Is that for the
Yes.
county or the city?
That's
No, just
that's
where you got
verbiage from the county.
Verbiage from the county.
I like it too, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say they can spend money, emergency funds that already exist, yeah, if that needs to happen. An ordinance can cover that, that's fine, but as far as levying taxes or authorizing the borrowing of money.
Yeah.
Bernard,
I'm fine.
okay,
We're all
Yeah,
agreeing
that's
on that
fine.
wording?
okay,
Yeah.
Again, I have one question on this ordinance thing.
let's hear it.
Did we cover? Well, we're reading in full, you already covered it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Alright, whew, love it when everyone's happy. And then what about this thing from the county talking about automatically repealing emergency ordinances, on the 181st day following the date of adoption?
That's 6 months. If your emergency has lasted 6
6
months,
months,
it's
yeah.
no longer an emergency, it's a state of being.
Hmm.
Is it just a change?
At which point they can, vote an official ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
then
not
you
permanent.
Yeah.
becomes an official, not an emergency.
So include that.
Right.
100
So I like
days.
that, you like that?
And that's all from the
Yeah.
county one, okay, I'll grab that language.
Okay. Wonderful, moving right along, it's 8:00. Tiffany.
So, I'm sorry, 180, that's a lot.
It's 6 months.
181st day after.
It's automatically repealed. It can be repealed before
I
that.
mean, how long does an emergency last? I mean, 90 days? I mean, county has a lot more money than the city does, so I wonder if like a smaller window for here would be better. 'Cause
I can look into more, or see who else has emergency clauses,
See what else they're saying
yeah,
in terms of repeal dates.
that's as far as timing goes.
For Purdue, maybe some
See if they have a smaller time frame for that.
some of them's more like ours.
Cause that number came from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it did. So you'll check on that?
Yeah,
thank you.
Boy,
so we've got 10 minutes left,
I can't
We're not
believe,
getting through number
I
4.
can't believe ordinances took this long.
and you just said it was gonna be 5.
Well, see, that's why we have to look at people, because I didn't see anything until you pointed it
Yeah,
out.
same here, thank you.
No, that little and caught my eye, and then look at with a,
Down the rabbit hole.
yeah, avalanche that caused.
All of that, we changed 2 sentences,
Thank you.
point that out.
Well, we've got 10 minutes, let's jump ahead to chapter 10 and see if we can leave section 35 as is.
Chapter 10.
That's
Chapter
next, right? 9, we have,
You mean
Four.
Subsection 4.
in the next 10 minutes, you got.
Oh, no, no, you're saying, we're gonna hold off on that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
because
you.
that's the big
I
one.
didn't hear that part.
We all know that's the big.
What's chapter 2?
Next
Chapter 9 or chapter
9.
9.
Chapter 9.
Well, that might go a long way too, you never know.
Well, we're just gonna open the door and see where it takes us.
Okay.
I had a question
Yes.
about section 35. I don't know when it was added the same election.
And I
don't know if anyone is aware, it sounds to me like it's involved in that sort of historical thing that caused both section 4 and the previous chapter, and this to be brought before, which had to do with the acquisition of the new fire department and the condemnation of the old one.
Everyone has condemnation in their
Yeah.
charters.
Right.
It's one of those boilerplate things, I think.
And I don't know what was amended in that
Correct.
ballot. I don't.
I see what you're saying.
Was there a previous section on condemnation in
I
the
didn't
prior
assume
charter?
so. I said it's pretty standard in every charter.
And so then what got changed?
Probably the fees.
I have no idea what
The
that.
You don't
3%, the
Is it
3%
possible they had a copy of the
adjustment.
prior charter, Jordan?
Might have one here somewhere.
So other than that one question, how do we feel about everything else in section 35?
So Mary Ann, unless I'm mistaken, the big change to the condemnation piece was this language on, except as provided in this section, any private real property condemned by the city may not be conveyed to another private party without offering the original owner or the heirs of the original owner the right to repurpose the property for no more than original blah, 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 blah. I think that's what they added. And it was,
That's what
it was,
Yeah,
So I
do
just
you remember
pulled
that,
this
Mary
up.
Ann?
No, I don't remember that, Bernard, I really don't.
oh, that's what it was
Okay.
before, it's 3 lines long.
So that's what Bandon says now,
That just this one
just
sentence.
that one sentence.
Any necessity taking property from the city, but term of the council declared by resolution of the council. Which is stating the uses and just showing the voting.
Yeah, and ours is much more detailed on.
So that was the old one is what
This
you're
is from what I,
saying?
yeah, the 95 charter,
Okay,
and then the other one say 95 charter amended 2008. So I'm assuming this
they
is
added a lot more.
quite a bit, which is odd, because the current one mentions it essentially has to be a public safety issue, and this one
Correct.
doesn't.
Any
Correct.
necessity taking property from the city of College.
That's why I think it's related to whatever was going on in the city at the time. I think there were concerns that the council was condemning property, because for other reasons, other than that it was a public nuisance or a safety hazard. And then, just in the wording of it, it makes me sound like there's an incident or a series of incidents that happened in which people felt that property had been unfairly condemned and then conveyed to someone other than the original owner.
So what I'm seeing here is that the LOC model references, they're only, the word condemnation comes up one time in the LOC model, and that is under subjects covered by state law, and it just references the state law and ORS.
What, can you give me the ORS number?
So that is, it says ORS chapter 35,
Mhm.
223.005 through 223.105. And then there's another section, 226.310 through 226.380
Mhm.
and 227.300.
It's a lot of ORS devoted to condemnation.
And that's the only mention of it.
And that's the only mention of it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I think this is a really important part of our charter, given where we are in terms of planning for the future of the city. We've got Main Street now looking at developing Main Street, and the city looking at Main Street, that this, and there are clearly some properties on Main Street that could be condemned, or at least be brought under consideration for condemnation. I'd like a chance to research this some more. Before we discuss it,
My phone just.
look into those ORSs and talk to some people who were there when this was enacted to see what was going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is a significant addition. what was their vote?
Maybe ask Gary to come to explain
Yeah, they're the ones who put it in, right?
It's scary.
that.
Very much. Right.
He came and talked to us before.
And it seems
Yeah,
like,
I agree. I agree that this needs some research. I mean, the fact that it's not in the model ordinance, again, it's like, well, where is this, where are the, you know, the requirements for condemnation governed? How do we know how to do that properly?
yeah, Mosier is like our old one too, just that one sentence.
Really simple. So there was clearly something going on that made it necessary, made voters feel like it was necessary.
Right. Yeah, we'll look into it.
Yeah.
You wanna jump back? Did we have, something about enacting ordinances? Do we have verbiage in here? How long until an ordinance is enacted? I kept saying that in other charters.
Oh, yeah.
30 days,
Okay, but it's somewhere there, that's fine.
but I think it's in our ordinances. I don't think it's in the charter
I
anymore.
thought I saw it somewhere, but yeah, I don't see it in the charter, but if it's in an ordinance, that's
Okay.
good to go.
Yeah, and I can double check that.
Section 36, we've got 2 minutes.
And that seems
It
pretty,
says it should be governed by ordinance, so is there an ordinance on that part?
or to the extent not so governed by state.
Or immediately
Or by
due
state
to
law.
an emergency.
And improvements. What do we mean by public improvement? An improvement like someone decided to take the Cascade in parking lot and build a 6-story office building, is that a public improvement?
Yeah, but you can't just take the parking. Cause that belongs to the Cascade.
Right, but let's say they decided to do that and they filed for a permit.
So ours is quite a bit longer than Mosier's, but the first sentence is pretty similar.
And the model on this stuff, what's it talk? Does it have some language on improvements?
See it,
Page 13.
page 13.
Really?
Section 7.
So our improvement section looks exactly like the River City Charter's improvement section.
What do you think? That's probably where we got it.
Yes.
Okay. Has this section been a source of contention for the council at all? Or for local
Not
residents?
Yeah, do we need the public contracts and contracts for public improvement section? It's not in the model. The model doesn't talk
No.
about.
Yes, it is.
On page
Where?
13.
It's in the model, it starts on page 13, section 10. And it says basically what ours says.
What? Where am I?
He was talking about section 38. Public contracts and construct contracts.
Oh, you're talking about section 38, Bernard?
Yes, Exactly.
Sorry.
There's no section 38 in the model.
Okay.
We're saying that section 36, we're okay with, right? We got it from the river and it's in the model.
So, according to ORS 279A.010, definition for public, public improvement means a project for construction, reconstruction, or major renovation on real property by or for a contracting agency.
So yeah, it's anything. Okay.
All right, with that,
Yes.
yeah, we've all got some homework.
We
All got
do.
some stuff we can
Okay,
look at.
But regarding section 38, Jordan, will you ask the attorney if there's any reason why we need to include a public contract section in the charter, given the fact it's not in the model?
Don't we have an ordinance for public contracts?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, really,
Yeah,
all
it's not
it's
in the
saying
model,
is-
he's right, it's not in the model.
Page-
We go from public
It's not in
improvement
the
to
LLC
legal.
model.
Yeah.
What specific reason for the money?
Section 30.
Public contracts.
All it's stating though is that refer back to the state law. It's essentially telling the city to follow state law.
That's to conform to requirements of state law, which is kind of, everybody has to conform.
Yeah,
Right.
more of an
Yeah,
administrative thing.
Like,
Legislative.
yeah. I'm not
Um,
convinced that needs to be in there, but I'd like the attorney to weigh in.
I just want to get clarification, were we all in agreement that 36 can stand the way that it is? The improvement section, it's basically coming out of the river charter, it's in the model charter, it's.
Yeah, I'm in a concurrence. I agree.
Yes, section 36 is good as is.
Great. Just makes me feel like I got one more thing done.
Yeah, I like it. I was trying to put this, get one more.
It's like me, I'm like, what else can we do, what else can we do? What short means we're so close, we're just a miscellaneous provision.
We can adjourn now.
And then we have like,
We have to adjourn.
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah.
Are we ready to
Make a
get?
motion to adjourn.
I second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good call. We have to, don't leave yet, Bernard.
Okay.
We have the budget orientation is set for April 24th, so 2 weeks from now.
Well, don't you think, much as I don't want to, we have to meet next week?
I agree,
I wouldn't mind.
I would love it.
Because if we don't get this done, and we spent one night on a section, I didn't think was gonna be that hard.
We know we have that number 4.
That is my son's birthday.
Yeah, I thought that
would
was
make
yeah, Tuesday, yeah.
To the 17th.
Yes.
What about the Thursday, fall, the 18th?
I can do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
I'm actually in Kennewick that day.
Okay.
I can't do
Unless you have-
Thursday, but I can do Tuesday.
Got 2 for Tuesday. I can do Tuesday until 7 PM.
Are you available that Tuesday, Jordan?
Yep, okay.
That's.
Yep.
Yeah, but that would only mean 1 hour meeting.
We meet at 5.
I get home at 5:30. I could do 7:30 maybe, 5 to 7:30. And again, until I see my calendar,
Yeah.
I'm only pretty sure.
Don't you know the charter thing?
It's working.
I was at work and I was on Let's Watch.
It's getting to be that time of year here.
Port's in here on the 16th.
Or 0
Yeah.
yeah.
I can send an email out to the group. and
Yes, please.
Get a date fixed.
But it sounds like, I mean, I can make it for an hour and a half on a Tuesday evening. So tentatively not this Tuesday. But at the very latest, the following Tuesday.
23rd.
So you're saying next week there's nothing open that we can?
No. I'm out Tuesday and I'm out Wednesday, Thursday. Sounds like you're not available Tuesday. The Port's in here Tuesday. We can do Monday. I think we're over Monday.
You don't have to go to council yesterday.
Yeah.
So yesterday.
Yeah, 15th is open Monday.
I'm traveling Monday.
Okay,
I'm available.
Well, then.
Friday? No, you guys don't work on Friday.
Skip next week, they can go to the following week.
I guess so.
I can do the
Um,
19th. That works for me.
and something
What's
else.
the 19th?
Friday.
Oh.
Something
They're
else,
closed, Bernard.
Yeah.
something else, you know, we might wanna think about is extending our hours.
Yeah,
I would be okay with that also, going later. Not tonight, cause I wasn't prepared,
yeah, same here.
but I'm open to that option, since we can't meet next week.
I'm okay to go till 9 next week, or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll
make
send
it
it
an
out,
extra long meeting.
What day?
Wednesday, the
22nd, is that a good day?
The 22nd is the council meeting.
May 22nd.
We're in
Okay.
April.
Good lord, I was in May. Holy cow.
Not yet,
it'd
no.
be 2 weeks, it'd be
How
like,
about the 24th? That's 2 weeks from today.
We have a budget meeting. We have a budget orientation meeting that night.
You're sending out a notice for that, right?
I kicked it out right before this meeting. You should have got an email.
I didn't check my emails.
We can do the 23rd. That's the 4th Tuesday.
So you wanna have 3 meetings that week, 3 night meetings
That's
that
the
week.
joy of our job.
the Tuesdays, I won't be able to stay past 7:30 though.
What about
Are
Thursday?
we moving budget to Thursday? Because we usually do it on Wednesday.
No, it's Wednesday.
No, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that's
Day. What's that Thursday after
The
the?
25th?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Here's one midnight.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me.
As long as it's gonna get done.
What day? Oh, Thursday the 25th?
Yeah. Room's open.
Thursday, the 25th.
Bernard?
That works. Yep.
For extra long meetings,
Never want to stay here. Very fun.
We're getting broken.
Yeah. Yeah, so 25th, that sounds like the best date, next best date for everybody.
Bernard,
You already said yes.
he said yes.
and for
Yeah.
it being extra long.
Can we revisit this open motion?
Can you guys hear me yet?
Hey!
Yeah, we can.
Oh, hey, hot damn. Okay. So it turns out I have my speaker on my AirPod. Whoops, my bad. So my AirPod's in the other room. Hey, so the 25th, I will have to be late. Like, won't be there till like 7 or 7:30. Is that gonna be okay with everyone?
If we have our quorum, we'll work with it.
Okay.
Which Bernard said he can make it, I can make it, you can make it, you can make it.
Yeah.
That's our quorum.
Okay.
And then absolutely, if that does end up working out for everybody, we would love for you to show up rather late than never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just have to wait till after I close the restaurants all.
Okay,
Perfect.
That's what you wanna do.
I think that's our only option.
It's looking like it, and I hope once the magic internet
So
box
you,
comes back on.
so we have budget on the 24th. City council on the 22nd and this on the 25th.
That'll be a fun week, yeah.
Okay, so it's 2 weeks.
That's gonna be my life for the next 3 months, so yeah.
Great chocolate.
Yeah.
Easter chocolate's on sale now. Find it everywhere, pennies on the dollar.
All right, I'm gonna end this meeting. Where's that? All right.
thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.